want to get straight into it. So I remember you were saying that you lived in Holland.
Yeah, I lived for 3 years. I was living in Tariq Jdidi all my life. I know it's a sitcom intro. He's living in Tariq Jdidi all his life. I lived in Tariq Jdidi all my life, like for 22 years. Then I went to do my master's in Netherlands. It was food science, food science masters. And then I discovered that I wanted to do stand-up over there.
So it's a natural step from food science.
Yeah,
to
you know.
Just that classic
Just
story.
culture.
Yeah.
I'm not that far off, by the way. I did mathematics and now, like, fuck it, I want to be podcasting and alternative media. So I feel you.
You know, Dave Chappelle عامل food science كمان before.
Yeah, that's how the greats start in a lab.
So I think that was what triggered you. So Dave Chappelle, you're like, fuck, the stars are aligning on this one.
Yeah, definitely. The whole constellation.
Yeah.
The thing is, I went there and I did food science. And in my town, we were in a small town, not in like in Amsterdam or a city. And then I was watching a lot of comics because I always watched stand-up all my life, whether in Lebanon or watching comics from the US or UK or whatever. And then some of them were bombing so hard. And they were like, some of them were students even trying out. I was like, fuck, maybe I should try out. Because I tried when I was in AUB doing my bachelor's, but I chickened out, didn't do it. And then one night I told the comedy club, hey, can I join? And they told me, yeah, you have to prove to be funny. So I wrote a few bits. I always wrote shit that doesn't make sense to me. So I did that. And then I came up and tried it and worked out. I was like, fuck it.
I'm funny.
I'm funny. I got this.
I'm God's gift to comedy.
Yeah. You're welcome, universe. Yeah. And then it was like an 8-minute set. Yeah. And I did well. And then I ate shit for like 3 other months. I didn't do well at all.
Nobody was laughing anymore.
Yeah, nobody. But like, it really helped me. It really helped me out.
But like, no one's laughing. Did you ever come to think maybe because you're like, I don't know, starting in Holland, it's probably the weirdest step for an Arab comedian to be like, let me try my shit out in Holland and see how that works.
Yeah, well, actually, what I tried out wasn't about my identity. Okay. It was more social commentary of what I'm observing.
From the perspective of a...
Yeah, from what I see.
And it was in English as well, right?
Yeah, it was in English. So I did clubs... open mics and clubs for like a year and a half, 2 years, until I finished my master's. So I used to go like during weekdays or weekends, do shows, come back, you know. And yeah, at the beginning it was like really social commentary on what I observe. And then I started really getting introspective. And then that's where it got interesting, because also I took a break from my master's in 16, first. And they came here. I was like, hey, does anyone have comedy clubs, Lebanon, Aushi, or like open mics, whatever? Do you have anything? They were like, no, we just go to a pub and set it up and do a show.
Dude, we don't have electricity. Like, I don't know if we're going to have open comedy clubs.
Yeah, bro. Like, do you have a comedy club? It was weird asking for it because...
What was the reaction when you were asking people?
It was like, bro, there are comedians that are already established. But how do you get established as a comedian if you've never tried? Like, because I learned that it was different because the way Lebanese people were used to comedy or stand-up shows or one-man show, whatever you call it at the time in the 90s, there used to be people who were on TV, like let's say Fader Aide or SLC cast, Adil Karam, Mario. They were all on TV, and then they had their shows in the live theater, and then people would come see them. So it's always first prove to me you're funny on TV, which was the biggest, TV. So then, okay, I'll come pay to see you. So we never had the culture of like coming in and seeing people live, just trying shit out, an open mic. And even we struggled with that, even Awkward, the comedy club struggled with that here. Like, because people didn't get it. Like, why am I listening to this? Who's this nobody? Why am I listening to...
That's the most Lebanese shit. Status. Like, I need to see...
Yeah, like show me the funny,
And they're as demanding. They're so fucking demanding over here.
Exactly. But they have no background of it. Because, like, they're used to, for 30 years, like, this guy is funny on TV, he better be funny live. Exactly. So now when you see, like, a guy just trying out shit and talking about, especially our generation, they were really not receptive at first, and they didn't get it, like, why aren't you funny, extremely funny for me to give you like some slack, cut you some slack. But then I was like, okay, so in a year or two, people got used to it that, okay, we go to a pub where some people are trying out, is dead. They're trying on open mic shit. And then we go do a set. And then it builds because, like maybe in 2011, 2009, there were a few groups like Liao and Eli Mitre, like Anthony Hamawi, Jad Bukaram, Tony Dagher. They used to do in a comedy club in Mono. There was a comedy club there, and they were doing shows, and they instilled that culture. Like, you need to listen to people. But they stopped for a while, and then in 2016, 17, when Awkward started again, it got a boom. Like, we're doing open mics, we're doing comedy club, and also it got to a point where, the regular comedy club night, which we did on Tuesdays in Awkward, unannounced lineup. So that was a total win because you don't even know who's gonna come up, but I'm just gonna go there for a laugh, and that was a really big switch in culture for us in a positive way. And I'm glad it happened, and it's still happening. And now venues ask for stand-up comedians. They ask for us. They want to book us. So
it's changing.
Yeah. So I'm not starving. But that's what I'm saying.
I'm making some money right now.
Sometimes. Not thank you, COVID. Thank you, COVID.
I was on a roll before that.
Yeah.
But that's so cool that even in the comedy scene, it's representative of our culture. Like, that's so funny that people like, no, I want to watch a name. I want to watch someone who I've seen on TV. Whereas in the US, that's not how you start. You do open mic nights, you climb up, maybe you get a special. After you get a special, you go to the movies.
People are genuinely interested in the States or even in Europe as well to go and find out more about upcoming comedians. People are interested
because they would pay for the experience. We're not used to it. We're like, I hope my experience is worth my money. That's how we go about it. Like with everything we buy, like changing an appliance, I hope it's worth my money. Like everything.
Yeah, but social media must be helping a bit in pushing people towards that. And
well, I know. So like some comics are more comfortable like staying live. Like even here, although we need it, because we're not the demographic and the distribution is not the same as like the US and New York, for example. Like in New York, you can get up on stage 4 times a night, and like 7 days a week. Like we still don't have that, So we're working towards that. But also in Amsterdam in 2016, when I was still there, you could go. It was starting to get there. You can go every night. So all the world is following this trend, which is a healthy trend because it really more like a comedian can hone their skill, like forming their sets, because that's how it should go. I know, like comics, they did, although they say they had it easy in the 90s. Like Fadir Aid or Ras Al-Shi or Adil Karam were established comics or comedy actors, and then they went for stand-up. They say it's easy, but it's not because they didn't have a chance to try.
It's a different dynamic when you're live in front of a crowd.
And this is what you see sometimes. Like they're not stand-up comedians who have been doing it for a while. Even like Adil Karam when he had his Netflix special. Like they can bomb. That's a bit, and any comic can bomb. Any comic can still bomb.
And they all have.
But that's a risk that they faced. Like Fadir Aidi, when they come up on live theater, they're not doing they weren't doing stand-up, but they're doing stand-up now.
And there's that added pressure because you are this guy I see on TV. Whereas if you started with the opposite,
I paid $50 to see you. God bless you. Thank you, Riyad Salemi. Sorry to mention it. I mean, it's like $1. Thank you.
I like the camera look as well. Yeah.
I think the biggest problem, though, in my opinion, for Lebanese comics in general, even maybe in the 90s when there was that boom, quote unquote, I think the reach, because Lebanon at the end of the day is a country with 4 million people on paper, 6 million people with illegal immigrants. And every single country in the Middle East has a different Arabic dialect. So maybe if you do a stand-up show in Lebanon, which might be hilarious, Egyptians might not find it that funny. For instance, in a country like Egypt, which has a population of over almost 100 million people, I think.
80.
The reach over there, just like if you have a domestic Egyptian comic, is way bigger than being in Lebanon. I think that's so sad because Lebanese humor, in my opinion, is hilarious. But the reach is so fucking small over here.
Yeah, I know. But to you, because let's say the Levant, us, Syria, Jordan, Iraq, hatta Palestine. They really have. We have like similar humor, and our dialect is not that far apart.
Would you say Iraq though? Iraq, because when I met a lot of Iraqis, I would feel their dialect's a big difference. Syria, Palestine.
But I have in my crowd, I've had Jordanians, Syrians, and Iraqis and Palestinians watching me, and they understood all my jokes. Although, because like there's something really funny about us, like ironically, like if I joke about a politician, they would know because our politicians are fucking famous celebrities. You know,
That's true.
It's not like like in Europe they didn't know. Like one time, you know how these Dutch presidents or ministers, they come on bikes. It's that's the minister of interior. I'm like, what the fuck is on a bike? Like I could kill him right now.
Ours come with like a convoy of like 5 cars in front, 5 cars in the back, all
The
fucking
cousin
black.
of the minister
Where
of communication.
are the RPGs? Which would be funny, like on a bicycle with an RPG.
That's so interesting to say because like when you lived in London, for instance, you just walk past like the Prime Minister's house, for instance. They'd be like, yeah, that's where the Prime Minister lived. There's not even a single like security force standing outside to defend it.
Because they're one of the people, that's why.
Whereas here, for instance, you go to like the head of parliament, he blocks out like half the area is all guarded behind his building.
My dad is Finnish, and he tells me all the time, the Finnish president rides like public transportation. Takes the tube. Takes a taxi.
And when they do it over here, it's like a fucking event.
It's a PR stunt.
It's a PR stunt.
That's the thing. The fact that you know all of this shit and the Lebanese in you, it must give you basically an amount of material to last you a lifetime. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's what they said when like Trump came in office for the US for daily shows.
We have 65 Trumps.
Exactly. Like there are so many actors doing that, and it's funny to me because also you have a certain like taboo about it here. Like even though they do the freakiest shit, man, the freakiest shit. Like one guy got locked up in the Civil War and he reenacted his own imprisonment. Like what?
That's some 50 Shades of Grey shit.
That's some like last Dark Knight. You have to jump to meet Bane shit. I'm like, are we not gonna talk about it? And that's what you saw in the 90s to late 2000s when they really wanted to impersonate. That's why impersonations were a big thing and still are in Lebanese communities because like we want to make fun of them, and this is the only way. Because it's kind of like, I'm not really talking shit about you. I'm just like, it's a homage to you. You know, it's ridiculous.
I think...
And even they did puppet shows, you know?
Demokratia. They had...
That's the only way they could get away with it on TV.
They had shows like Basmet, El Watan, and Ovrira and stuff like that. I remember I used to watch those shows so much coming up. But that's the thing, back then when those shows were popular... people actually loved the politicians way more than they like them now. So imagine starting a show like this right now, like an Ovrira or Basmet Al Watan, where they're constantly just mocking the politicians. I don't think mainstream media outlets will allow that.
No,
because they're owned by them.
Because they get paid by them, and like media is different from the 90s. 3 days ago, I was watching music videos for Rahbani. Ziad al-Rahbani.
Bro, this guy's a genius.
On MTV, where he was saying, like, he was literally telling everyone, like, how you're full of shit, how Darak is full of shit, how Jesh is full of shit, in a music video, and it was okay in the MTV in the 90s. There's like stricter censorship right now. Because they're really like they know they're fucking up.
Clinging onto their power.
But I thought we were living in a social democracy. That's what it says on paper.
There's
I lived abroad in Holland. How many years did you live there for?
3 years.
How do you best explain Lebanon to foreign friends?
It's just like Mad Max, but like on steroids.
I like that. Yeah.
But it's more humid.
So you were
It's just Mad Max, but no, like you need a Perrier.
It's Mad Max with hummus, basically.
You were one of the realistic ones, not the ones that would go outside and be like, "Oh, Lebanon, you should come on holidays to Lebanon. It's amazing."
No, like I would tell my friends come visit me. You know, because I know the places. But I would never like
over glorify.
Don't live here.
No. I don't like to glorify because we've had like this is what I'm talking about in MTV and shit like that in the 90s. They were like facing reality. Now we move to something that's like toxic positivity in the country. We're like, no. Don't say we fucked up with trash, mountains of trash. Just say so tourists can come for one season. Like, I'm not getting paid by fucking tourists. I don't care. I'm not their guide.
Yeah.
Like, they got like a two-story like bus. Like, is this what we want really?
Yeah.
It's
For-
what we need. Okay.
It's what we
We need it.
hero
We need that
need.
influx.
Yeah,
but look,
but-
I was one of those people, to be fair. I was one of those guys because we all lived abroad, and when we were
Stuff in
outside,
London.
Yeah.
huh?
انت فنلندي.
Okay,
Not
نص
inside.
half. And when I'd go, I'd talk. I'd sell Lebanon as if I was selling my liver, dude. I would like literally go and be like, "It is the greatest. You can ski and the nightlife," but I was ignoring all the other shit that's under the surface.
But that's a part of a propaganda towards like just let people come in, because how is the Lebanese system sustaining itself right now? It's because like even the Bilrat Salemi said it. He said our asset is people sending money.
Yeah, remittances.
Like, so if that's the only way you're making it, that's very sad. Also, why should I be taking part of this in the system that you've built, and it's so fucking corrupt, and you want it to survive, and it's barely like letting you live? Like,
Yeah.
why would I vote for you? Why would I like advocate for you?
Yeah,
you know?
how can we keep relying on remittances? That's such a scary thing to
Yeah,
hold
yeah.
our economy by a thread. Like having family abroad. Well, your family live here, by the way?
Yeah, all their
Yeah.
life.
Okay, all here.
Yeah, because like, but to talk about like in the 90s, to go back to Fadir Aidi, like I used to watch like comics and Louis C.K. and Dave and Doc Stanhope, Sarah Silverman, all these great comics. And then I was like they talk about real shit. And then we had like Lebanon, Hadara, Lebanon, the Phoenix. And then I had the Fadir Aidi was like, yeah, Lebanon is amazing, but what does it fucking do if I can't like pay my bills? He was the only guy talking about the bullshit that was in Lebanon. And this is why he was best, because he didn't put on this fake.
There was no filter.
Yeah, there was no fake mask that we all had to wear to make everyone love us, because we have this inferiority complex that, oh, I'm Middle Eastern, I better appeal to the West and they better like me.
Yeah.
Look, I'm beautiful, so now I'm worth your money. It's not about that. We have our own identity. But the problem is we never had to celebrate our own identity because we were always ruled by someone else in proxy.
So how do you, as a comedian, because that's really interesting to me, comedians say what's on all our minds, even if it's extremely fucking inappropriate.
yeah.
You say what's on our mind. How do you do that in a country that's not really doesn't have freedom of speech?
Not very liberal.
So
Yeah, of course.
doesn't that limit you as a comedian, what you can say, what you can get away with? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, well, it moved in layers, actually. It's like a layer cake, because it depends, okay, on identity politics. Like, who am I? Ana Sunni, like Tayar Mustaqbal, you know, like Hariri.
Yeah.
So you have to support them since I'm that. And I cannot attack the other side because I belong to this side. So they'll see it as a conspiracy theory. Why are you talking about them? So, like, I just don't want to play in their paradigm or framework. I just broke out of it, and I just talk about everyone, whoever I want to talk about, because they're all wrong, you know. There's like, they all don't make sense. So but then again, people love the paradigm, you know, of, okay, if you're attacking them, that means you're with that polar opposite.
Yes.
But then again, you face a problem where, like, okay, if you're criticizing that part, criticize the other, so I know you're fair. Like, but it's not that. I don't owe you this. I'm just criticizing. But of course, we have a lot of that also, like key players or key comedians also. Like, we have Sharb al-Khalil and other people who are like just biased comedians towards a certain extent. And they would attack that guy and not their party. So they feel like they're biased.
Yeah.
So now I have to go against them. I have to prove against everyone. It's a fucking hassle.
So you're always trying to satisfy someone.
Yeah,
basically.
and I don't want to do it anymore. And I was in that trap for a while. I was trapped in that for a while, because I used to be like, okay, they're right, because I have to not make everyone mad and everyone. But then I was like, fuck it, I want to talk what I want to talk about.
That's their game, and they make you play their game.
Yeah. So
and they keep you within their rules.
yeah, up until like 2 years ago, I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna talk. Like, if I'm doing a set, a 15-minute set, and it happens that during this set I'm talking about these two political parties, I don't want to like do about all the political parties, so you know I'm biased. Fuck that. The subject is about
The content's about those two.
yeah, and even like my content, like the way I approach comedy is just basically a summary of my day and my thoughts. And politics is in that. Like, I'm amazed at comedians who do like shuffle away or just shove it. You know, no, I don't.
But
care about
I would
politics.
argue with you. I agree because
Yeah.
what's at the forefront of what's happening socially now, you can't ignore. It's all politics.
Yeah.
This country is literally all
Yeah,
politics.
yeah,
But don't you think that there's also a certain charm, and maybe I can see the reason why these other comedians
Yeah.
who talk about shit that isn't political,
Yeah.
maybe in a way it's a bit refreshing because it's like we're taking a break. We need to escape and just talk about some shit that isn't always.
You can.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
But I do not approve of someone like saying talking about these things in a vacuum. That's what I don't
What do
like.
you mean by
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, like for example, like talking about a certain commotion that happened in the streets and making a joke about it and then just moving along. But why is that happening? Like that comic can be an absurd comedian, dark comedian, light comedian. I don't care. But like putting these things in vacuum and not talking about their context is harmful for me. Because like let's say how I construct a set is it's on my daily thoughts and my daily life. My daily thoughts are I hate myself, I'm horny, I hate the politicians, and is there a meaning to life?
Yeah.
And everything in between, you
Yeah.
know? But that's our
So
daily
that's the
thoughts.
basis of everything.
Yeah, but that's
I
our
love how
daily
I'm
life.
horny was number 2.
Yeah, it should be number one with the
Yeah,
morning
okay.
wood, but Anyway, do I say I hate myself first or masturbate later? I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone has.
It changes every now and then.
Yeah, and it's a different. It's an acquired taste.
Yeah, I love how you did this with your hands,
Yeah,
like, you know,
it's,
the Italian. It's a
Yeah, because I
acquired
don't
taste.
have tissues at home. You gotta get rid of it somehow. No, but really, because like, but these are. Sorry, almost ruined. But these are like daily thoughts, man. Like, I'm talking about everything. Like, don't you think about food and sex and life and religion? Like, you think about all of that. So this is why, like, I'm just a regular person thinks about this during the day. So I'll talk about this during the day, you know? And it makes sense to me because, like, you cannot separate, although you want to separate politics, but, like, even driving down or walking down the street, it has so much, man.
Yeah.
Like,
It's in your face all the fucking time.
to the street, there's electricity. Like, there are, like, the wires and everything. Why? Can you separate that? No, you can't. It's part of your life. And even though, like, we can't think of a way out of it even. Like, that's the problem. If you, like, we're stuck in this, you know? It feels like we're trapped. You feel that. This is why people leave and escape. We feel that you're trapped. Okay, let's talk about electricity, for example. Let's say that I come down the street, all wires, disjoncteur, and everything, heck. And then I look at it, and then this guy that's giving me generator because the government can't give me electricity. Well, that guy became a mafia, and then they control all the electricity. So they're now, even if they want to get electricity, like power by the government, they can't because they created this hybrid monster that they can't control anymore.
And you feel you have to comment on that. Then,
Yeah, of course. Like, even like politically, where are we going with this? Like, even, okay, so, you know, some ministers have illegally been chopping off forests and stuff.
And heads.
That's a given.
It's another day.
Just on weekends, though.
Yes, girl.
No, but like, they do that, deforestation and shit. And you know, like, I like to talk about extreme, absurd cases. Like, if we ran out of oxygen because there's no like plants, well, you'll get a private company who's selling oxygen tanks for every home, and that will be a new business. And then if we're like, okay, I'm gonna start planting some trees, and 30 years later to make up for this, they'll be like, no, you're gonna make them lose their jobs, the oxygen tank guys. You know, this is how we
So you
function.
privatize oxygen.
Yeah, but we normalize crazy scenarios. Like, even like the ones we don't find them crazy, like even electricity, like beaches. Like, bro, where do I say, like, I have to pay for entrance for a resort?
Yeah. Well, when you're in Europe, for instance, the concept of having a private beach
They
is almost
cannot
non-existent. It's non-existent. You go to Barcelona, you go to Ibiza, you go to south of Britain.
Public beaches, yeah.
It's
It
all
took
public
me
beaches.
7.5 minutes to make my German friend, understand this. 7.5, because like
Even
because Germans are so dumb. No,
Germans are stupid.
still stuck in World War II, bro. No,
they're not one of the most efficient countries in the world. You know, they look up, they aspire to become like Lebanese. You know, when it comes to work ethic and mentality.
But the thing is, like, they're normalizing, and how does this thing continue? It's about continuity. You know, these thugs that rule us. It's about continuity. Like, a 30-year-old like system is staying and is like
Growing, if
alive
anything, yeah.
because it's really good. Like you have to recognize this evil that you're facing. You know, you can't be like, I don't like when people say that these politicians, they're so dumb and stupid. No, they're not dumb. They're ruling us. They're winning, bro. You know, what's your opposition saying? If your opposition saying, which I don't like nowadays, it's like, as we said about the oxygen tanks, like after the explosion, 3 days later, after we were helping everyone with their houses and everything, an activist, and he's a good guy, like he's secular and shit. I like the guy, but he's a bit like too liberal for me, because he's saying like, why is the municipality of Beirut not recycling the broken glass? We want that. But that municipality a month ago was like almost gonna kill people if ما جابوا حدا maronite بالمطرانية أو شيء. Like, how are you talking to these people on that level? Like
You're expecting them to have a certain level
of just blow up the
etiquette,
city, and you're talking about recycling. Like, imagine in James Bond that villain, for just for a second, you know, I'm gonna have a death ray to control the earth. Please, like, take off your shoes in my man cave. It's not, doesn't make sense. You have to be on the level of respecting that evil. You can't be talking like, why aren't you like doing like capacity building and exceeding the carbon footprint? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But also like people who say like war will never happen nowadays because we're a different generation. But back at the time, only 5% were fighting and had guns. 5% of the population had guns. It doesn't take much to have a war. It's the mentality for it. And like, you have bigger powers at play right now, which is why it's, I think, always the good direction to go in is to help the workers, the working force, whether
help people who have less education, less awareness, let them raise awareness for these types of people.
But it's not only about awareness, it's about organizing, because like, it's not about like the truth.
It's interesting that you believe comedy, and it's true. I guess what you're saying is true. Has a very socio-political message.
Yeah.
And I, to a degree, I agree that's true for you, for your own benefit.
Yeah.
Do you think if you kind of stick to your content being socio-political and Lebanese socio-political, it might limit your growth abroad? Do you know what I mean by this?
Yeah. I know.
Instead of, let's say, societal things, like you did a great bit I saw on Instagram that was you eating alone in like in Holland, as opposed to eating alone here, which is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you, for instance, people like me and you, every time we'd go out when we were in Europe, there were so many times I would go out to a restaurant by myself and I wouldn't even think twice that I'm alone.
They wouldn't look at you.
It's a nice experience. It's peaceful.
I'm trying to think. I don't even think I've ever been out to a restaurant by myself in Lebanon. I don't think so.
Because when I did, they look at you like a sociopath. Because they're not used, because they're used to like huddling up tribalism, unity.
People think you're a loser here if you go by yourself, especially like during school and university.
Like he talked to me, the manager would talk to me like, is there someone sitting with you that you're only
Are
seeing?
you okay?
Like, bro, no, I'm not seeing ghosts. I'm not. This is not the exorcism of Emily Rose. Okay, yani. It's weird to me, but I would stay in those societal homes, but it's basically part of my day also. But like if I'm doing a 1 hour show, like I actually like 40 minutes of it or 30 minutes is just societal, and then maybe 20 is political, like hardcore. But then again, next year after we did the Cinemas series, we did a Cinemas online series stand-up, and after that we reached to like a wide audience of like people like us, our age, you know, like 18 to 35. They listen to Arabic content that's funny. Because like what we're used to in TV is like 30, it's catering to 35 and above.
Different generation, older generation.
It's different target audience. Yeah. So they're not used to, even if they want to see TV, they're gonna see something that's not targeted to them. From 18 to 30, Gen Z and millennials, let's say, and 90s kids even. So now when we did that series, we found like a great response from outside, like US, Canada, UK, Dubai, like everywhere, Arab speakers. And we're excited to share that, because like everyone who's leaving the country, you know, it's not automatically someone who wants to like dissociate from the country.
From Lebanon,
When they leave, it's hilarious because like people don't necessarily leave because like, fuck this country, it's not giving me what I want, so I'll leave. But then when you leave, you'll be what? Transferring money to your parents? You're part of that system again.
Yeah.
You're giving them
You're
money
always
again.
attached to that system.
And it does, like, it holds on to you with money. And when you leave, for example, a lot of people left Canada in the 80s in the war, and they're still with Lebanese forces. When Aoun got elected president in 2016, a guy went on Instagram and he said, Aoun, congratulations, and I got a tank, Merkava tank in Canada. Do you know how difficult it is to get a Merkava tank in Canada? Like حتى بالgarage back door.
I'm scared this
How do you park a tank?
You double park, I think.
You double park a tank. But like the funny thing is, like, he's backed up in the garage with the tank. Like ما بتحط له like because there's the cannon.
The cannon is
Do
outside.
you drill for the cannon? Like, it's fine.
I'm actually searching it right
Yeah,
now.
go.
Merkava tank.
What should we put?
Canada.
Canada, Lebanese guy, Canada tank. Just please, if you can get it. It's hilarious.
When you comment on all of this shit, when you comment
Yeah.
about all these parties and name names and go in, and do you get people at shows saying, say that one more time and I'm gonna fuck you up, or people connected to those parties saying I'll meet you after the show and I'm
I've had that.
You've had some threats.
I've had that.
How do you react to that?
Around the theaters? Just some friends helped me out. Usually,
The mafia.
Mafia.
I make a few calls here and
He
there.
has a big trunk.
Don
It fits a lot of
Corleone.
bodies. I don't usually deal with them that way, but I got a lot of like death threats on online stuff. And they don't like that. And I'm pretty sure other comics get that because we're very polarized.
Yeah.
But like, you can actually tell who, like, مين بيعوي doesn't bite out of it. So you can tell, like, that guy just
keyboard warrior.
just talks shit. Troll.
Probably he's
an
bored
internet
all day.
troll. He's bored in جنوب أو بصيدا أو شيء like طيار المستقبل. I've had that a lot. I've had this guy. He's very weird. النعمة. He's a طيار مستقبل guy. So because they always like feel bad, like, you're with us. Why are you at that? Like, there's an extra layer of why are you doing this? Especially that my uncle is with طيار المستقبل. He's a member of the parliament. So this is why it's like an extra layer of like, dude, you should have. So when I did that, there was this guy, I was criticizing Hariri as usual. And and this guy, his name is, like, he sent me death threats and stuff. He's from Niamey. And he's been on Facebook, and his profile on Facebook is my jokes. He just puts my jokes.
So he just takes your jokes and just puts them
Yeah.
So you had a stamp.
We have 1,000 friend mutual. He just adds my friends. He's just obsessed.
Oh wow, that's creepy.
And I've never clicked on his message request, but when I did, he's been talking to me for years.
What does he say? What type of shit does he say?
Like, just like, hey man, I love your shit, or I'm gonna kill you. So it's no in between. ما في لك.
That went
بتحب
0 to
البطيخ أو لا. Like, you don't like watermelon, I'm gonna fucking kill you. يلا ما في. Bro, I love your shit. You're gonna die tonight.
That's
no
fucked
in
up.
between.
That's literally Eminem style. You know that song Stan? Dear Stan, I'm your number one fan.
Yeah, bro, that's like the guy who killed John Lennon.
Okay.
Careful.
Yeah. And by the way, and you're in Lebanon. You can probably get away with that shit.
But I had like several guys, but what they're used to, like, but this is again the whole dilemma, because usually if they hear me joking about all of the fucking politicians on the table, he'll be like, okay, so he did his part. But I don't want to be that guy to cater to for these fuckers, you know? So I just say my joke, and I hope to have a like chill conversation with them, because like I've had the opposite. I have people, trolls online, who are like, fuck you, you're fucking shit, I hate your shows, and they've never seen me. They just talk trash.
We just want to talk.
It's just fun.
And then they would watch me live, and one guy, like, he really liked my show. He's like, yeah, sorry, I was doing that. I just live really away and I'm alone, and I just wrote that. I was like, for the first time, I see like an internet troll like really become a person, like not a transformation.
Like a literal troll.
And then but the thing is, like, really, it's all like just because social media really, really encourages you to spew hate, a lot of that. So once they meet outside, they're not as bad as they seem, or like we're not feeling that bitter about each other Because when you meet someone face to face, it's calming, like you're a human, I'm a human, let's talk it out. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, of course, but usually they're like, okay, yeah, I get his deal, so it didn't really get too violent at any instances, but maybe in BBC for Salam and other people in TV, because we were saying stuff on TV. So a lot of like the people
Wider
that you're
reach,
targeting,
yeah.
because they're not used, they're like
They're not used to this kind of humor.
yeah, 35 and above weren't used to satire news. This is like a 90s thing. So when we started doing it, and Salam Zatar and all their crew, they started receiving death threats more.
What I really also like about your stuff on Instagram, like separating yourself from the stand-ups, is that you post memes. You post a lot of memes, but they're smart memes. And I also like how deep you go in the captions as well, because you don't just put like "ha laugh" or like a one sentence.
No.
You actually put in effort to write a lot and describe the background, the reason as to why you're. I remember there was one post you posted about normalizing like mishaps that happen in the Middle East. There was one button, and then there was the other one where the West doesn't give a fuck anymore. And then you went in depth into explaining why you posted that caption along with
because
many of the
usually
other memes.
because the usual people are like my generation and like even younger. They used to like, okay, don't from our parents. They used to like, don't talk about politics. Just just go with your life without talking about it, which is the reason why we're getting to this shit. Because we have a lot of citizens.
Because we avoid it.
Yeah, but not about the citizens that do not know about politics and the corruption, but people who are like, they feel individualistic, like nobody thinks like me, and there's no chance for unity to organize against this corrupt system. So it's not about like fighting them with investigative reports. It's about like coming together, like even in neighborhoods, to organize against this like oppression, whatever it is, whether it is Darak in the area, mafia, generators, whatever it is, this sense has been lost. So we need to like rebuild for that. And like not trust the institutions that are already corrupt and will just recycle their corruption.
When you want to start just going forward, so we have 2 years up until the next parliamentary elections.
Or if they do early ones.
Okay, if let's take the hypothetical situation where they do an early one. It disintegrates. On what law are you going to elect? On what law are you going to elect?
Exactly.
That is the most complex
always
question. And if you want to change that law, the process of changing that law is going to take, that in itself will take years. Because if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, the last one was in 2018. The last parliamentary elections was in 2018. But the one before it, because I think we skipped one, if I'm not mistaken. We spent, many people forget this, we spent like 3-4 years without a president.
2008, 2009 was the last one before.
2000, it's supposed to be every 4 years. 2009, 2013, 2017. So we went even like two terms without even electing a parliament.
Bro, it feels like we've been living in the same shit for the past 4 years.
Yeah,
so
but
it's not.
exactly. So it doesn't matter the election. This is my point. It doesn't matter the election law, electoral law, because like it's been the same shit because the same government is there.
They're always there. They're like little entities that are controlling everything.
Now they say that there is a momentum to build and do an alliance among a collective against the government, which is fine. But I honestly do not care about that because I know these politicians are gonna be diluted. It's by dilution, not about like, okay, getting a new rack of people. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna be like until they die, until his son comes along,
until a new generation comes.
Is a bit shittier or not. We're gonna have to survive those because the expectation of like, okay, we did the revolution and now it needs to change. Where did you get that expectation from? It's not gonna happen.
These guys have been there for 30 years. You expect them now. You go down a revolution. Like, they're just gonna give up everything here.
They built something so nice, which is why I hate the whole yoga and dancing shit and like holding hands and stuff because it doesn't make sense. But that's what they love. They love performance art. And we hold coffins of Lebanon because Lebanon died. Like this never works out because like you have criminals,
My question to you is, we talked about the politics, but we're also talking about how comedy helps, and especially stand-up comedy helps raise awareness. How do you see the future of stand-up comedy in Lebanon for the next 5 years, given the financial recession that's going on, given what's happening with the max exodus? It was already an underground scene. Do you think it will remain underground for a longer period of time, or do you think it'll become more mainstream?
What we're asking is, are you paying taxes?
No.
Okay, great.
But there's nobody going after that because they're busy stealing something else.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's fine. No, I'm paying. I have to pay taxes somehow. Fuck it. I have to say that on camera. Fucking hate you too. killing my money source. Let me just have a monologue. Listen,
Yeah.
money is
Talk into the
essence
mic.
of happiness
Al
and
mic.
And
happiness.
into the mic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Camera. Happiness is just a state of mind. And money is not important unless you live in a capitalist system. That's very important. So yes, money is very important. So we hope to make money out of
Okay.
it. But like it's my labor, you know.
Yeah.
Performing is my labor. So I need to get paid for it. I know that a lot of people we do not respect. Like videographers or DOPs, like we never get them paid because it's exposure and some shit like that. Because we're used to not rewarding talent now. Because why would I give you like a platform or something? But now we're like it's been a few years. I've established myself. I hope there's more interest in comedy. Like for sure, we used to do like 70 seaters. Now we're doing like 250 before the COVID, like 250 seater, like it's full all the time.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
More people
Like-
are coming now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and we were doing like, last year, I did my shows, my first show, Met Shab, my first hour, I did it 12 times, like for 200 people every time.
Nice.
So that's a lot of people. And now,
It's increasing, man.
and now my new hour that's about the Silo Muhayyi, that's about the topical, what's happening in the last 2 years, that I'm playing in Metro, in Masrah Metro Bil-Hamra. Like, it fits now with COVID 100 or so or less, but it's sold out for several dates, you know. So we built something, but I want to take it out. I want to talk to other Arabs that are escaping because of this. Yeah, but don't make the mistake of thinking that only like secular people or people who think like us or like leftist thinking
Are leaving.
are leaving, because it's the whole bunch that are leaving. Because also, it's not like one affiliated with a political party is saying like, oh, fuck this, I find my guy wrong. No, I find my guy great.
Yeah.
You guys are fucking it up. I'm leaving. And which is brings us back to the 80s thing where he bought a tank for Aoun. You know, that guy. But this can happen again. And like even Harkat Amal in Berlin, they have a big... so you see, you can never get rid of it. You can never get rid of it because it's not built on facts. It's not like I'm like waiting for the facts to show. It's like, no, you don't know, and I'm just waiting to like prove you wrong, prove the opposition wrong, not prove yourself right, and that's what they care about. And meanwhile, like since the explosion of the port, didn't they say like we're waiting for the investigation? Whatever the fuck the investigation is gonna say, nobody's gonna give a fuck. It's not gonna be a changing point.
We will never know.
I
what
think-
happened
I
to
think-
him.
Yeah,
more.
because
We
that's
will
what
never know.
like even with Hariri assassination, which was also another political play. But now, like even if they have like an investigation and stuff, would we care? It's
Doesn't
not about,
matter.
It doesn't matter.
That's not the
Exactly.
point. The point is انفجر البار. That's the point.
Exactly. But what they apply and they so expertly do it. They do it so expertly. Is مثلا Nuhad Mashnu or other member of parliament or ministers, they would say like, but we were being attacked by Shia today. So we remember Zainab and Fatima 2,000 years ago, and we need to avenge them. That's emotional dissipation. They work on that, on emotional dissipation by like, there's another thing. Oh, what about gas and fuel? What about... So you can forget about the whole thing. Like Dave Chappelle has a great bit about that. Like, why does every once in a while, US wants to invade the country, Michael Jackson fucks a kid. Like, it's like exactly. And we have that. Like, every time, like, when they wanted to impose taxes, I swear, I know it's a bit, but like, I even noticed it, like, Miriam Klink had Fawat El Gol video clip, and Wadi Sheikh did a whole thing about a stolen car, he didn't register it. And like, this is when they implemented taxes, like they use this expertly.
Distraction.
And media is just a perfect tool, and is helping them out so well.
I think what's amazing about this is we asked the comedy scene. This is very representative of Lebanon right now. Like we asked about the future of the Lebanese comedy scene.
And we got into deep, bro.
We got straight back into the bastards that are currently ruling us.
So that shows you how
Okay,
representative.
so dick jokes.
That shows you how
A classic dick
representative.
joke is just what you need to alleviate.
Actually, like even they say like good comics. They say Robin Williams. Robin Williams said two things about comedy. Like for stand-up and comedy, and you use everything you know, everything. it's the only job where you use everything you know to apply and to get the point across. And the other thing he said, what was it? Like, I fucking forgot.
Something about a dick.
Yeah,
There we
it's like
go.
we're all after the best dick joke.
Okay.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
like and like even George Carlin, when he talked about bombs and how they're made, they just look like penis. They're like, we're just sending penis to another country, and it's the best dick political joke. I
Yeah.
think.
I remember, this has nothing to do with politics, but like I remember in Superbad when Seth, the guy Jonah Hill played, had that fucking problem where he just, he just drew fucking
He
dicks
just
all
draw
the time.
dicks, and you know, and his psychologist was like, you cannot eat
Yeah.
Dick-shaped foods. Yeah.
but dick-shaped sandwiches are the best kind of
And
sandwich.
I remember he's like, I'll be at a fucking psychologist and all she'll be showing me is picture of fucking dicks, man. Everything looked like a fucking dick.
Is there that one, because I love Super, is there that one movie that like has really inspired your comedy, or you like kind of base your shit off of that?
I thought my politics because
Yeah.
Fuck politics.
No, it was-
Vietnam or,
no, it wasn't actually. I'll tell you about that. It's very weird. What inspired my comedy was definitely sitting with my parents at night and watching Fadir Aidi, and then going on YouTube. And I was 14, and I started watching George Carlin, Louis C.K., Sarah Silver, Margaret Cho, all these comics, and they did such an amazing job, and they seemed relentless, and I was like, can I be that? And I didn't understand the dynamics of politics in my country. I was 13 or something. I was raised to be with Tayyar al-Mustaqbal no matter what, Hariri, because you don't ask questions and you're like, oh, I'm so fucking lucky to be born in the right place. You know, you feel that, and that's the problem. And even people nowadays, they feel the same way. Like any political party, they're like, oh fucking, thank God I don't have to switch or anything. I am born in the same right place, which is ridiculous. But now, like all these nights of watching comedy, and especially like Ziad al-Rahbani, when Dad told me about Ziad al-Rahbani, I was like, that guy is talking about the real struggle, poor people, against like rising against the middle upper class,
Social
because
inequality,
because social justice, because a privileged person will never live your life, even if they understand you, and that's the importance of it. Because this is why the like people who are struggling for their rights need to always organize for it, and I love that. But also, I was like, like that loves Ziad Rahbani, but it's like, yeah, بس حرير أبد. And it's just like a big fuck you for Ziad Rahbani.
Yeah.
And a bit like, yeah, social justice. بس حرير حسب الله. And a bit like these people were like that, you know.
So now that you're this kind of outspoken comedian and you're very socio-political and talking, like, did that create a bit of a tension with your parents because you were raised in that certain way?
Yeah. Well, now they learn to accept it.
Okay.
Because they have no
They
choice.
didn't have a choice, yeah.
It's my living, it's my life, and they learn to love it. Because, like, imagine when I told them.
You studied in Holland,
Yeah, I
and then
studied
like,
in
I want to be a
Holland.
comic now.
Science.
And that my family never had money. Like when I have an older sister and a younger brother, and my older sister, like, we didn't have money. She had to work to pay tuition, and my brother now, we're not doing so well, so he's struggling a bit. But I was the only child that they had money to put in school,
No.
and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a comedian. I swear, when I told my dad on a Skype call in Holland, I think I'm gonna start. I'm finish my masters and do comedy for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
He thought it was like a
joke.
مثل عيش وتاكل غيرها, like a show.
Yeah, a skit.
Yeah, a skit or a gag. It's like, because when I came to Beirut, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing comedy. He's like, where's the fucking camera? I was like, I don't have cameras. I can't afford them. I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
So,
He's like, okay, get used to it.
yeah, get used to it. And it created a real tension, and for a while. But my dad wasn't that, like, by that time, my dad wasn't that, like, obstinate about or adamant on, like, politics or Hariri. So it was fine. But the thing is, my uncle and all my bigger family were like Hariri, and member of the parliament is my uncle. So it was like, yeah, it's a big stress. But then again, I'm just talking whatever I want. And also, there are people who I grew up with all my childhood, my cousins, you know. I know them, and I love that. If that can be recreated in the Lebanese society, like, we tend to overlap personal with political a lot. We think that, like, I do not hate my cousins because their dad is my uncle, member of the family. Like, we grew up together. We played basketball together. No, it doesn't look like it. I used to play basketball. Okay.
Eons ago.
Eons.
Back in the day.
Yeah, so, like, I lived with those people, like, but unfortunately, a lot of people tend to overlap these things. Like,
are you now in a more? I know you're a comedian. You're supposed to dissect these things, but are you now in a more positive mindset to where we're heading, or are you just like, no, we're fucked, and I'm gonna wallow in the pain?
No, I'm just in a place where I don't know. We're at a changing point, and it's nice, like, not to. It's okay not to have a satisfying answer, or whether good or bad, because, like, I know these are unprecedented events that happened, and it's a different change. Like, what happened between 2018 and 20 now in the country is like BC AD shit. Like, you know, like, it's in history for us, for our country, it's totally different. I don't know where it will take us, but I hope we have the intellect or the insight to actually organize with people and to trust each other, because
that was an amen moment. Yeah,
that was an amen.
I needed an amen. I needed some gospel music as well in the background.
هلا I'll add it in post.
Please do.
فينا نزيد شيء شيخ او شيء بس هيك لما نزعل الحلقة.
Yeah, we got all the sects in there. We got all the religions. It's gonna be one weird.
حط لنا امام مع مطران مع بطرك هيك زبط لك سلطه حلوه.
That's gonna be the craziest mixtape ever. The one thing I did want to ask you is, I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it, but your upcoming podcast, is that something we can say, or is that more
I'm
of a
planning.
secret
I'm
thing?
planning for a podcast. Yeah,
Which gives me a lot of joy, by the way. That you're starting to get.
You're going down.
Listen, everyone, listen to. Yeah,
because
exactly.
this is how we look at each other, as a constant competition.
Are you taking our viewers, you motherfucker?
No.
That's how it works. Yeah, slowly.
Okay, they're all in. All the 13 people. This guy اللي بيلعب League of Legends. You're doing great, bro.
Seven of them are our parents.
But no, the thing is, like, I'm preparing something, and it's gonna be in Arabic. أنا والراس, hopefully. We don't know yet.
If anyone doesn't know him, he's like the best underground
I
Lebanese
love him.
rapper.
I'm biased, so I won't say, but I think he's a great rapper. And we're planning on something like a podcast with him to like have people who do not come up on mainstream media, and like either politicians, activists, economists, comedians, like artists. I just want people to listen to people from our generation, for fuck's sake, because everyone who's like in mainstream media is like 35 and above, and it's all in that dogma, you know. I don't care for it. So I really want people to like see more of us, and more of people who think like us, and more of people who want to work for the country in a good way, and more of people who do not trust the system and want to build something an alternative, or just organized with immigrant labor workforce, Lebanese workforce, everyone. So I hope that, and you guys are also helping in that by doing this awesome podcast.
Thank you, man.
I'm smiling behind the shit.
Yeah. After he shot on us and said we had 13 viewers, he gives us.
We had 15, goddamn, not 30.
Rabia, you're the best. I hope there's a Rabia. Allah.
Statistically, there should be.
There should be. 1 in 13. Do the math.
Yeah.
شي 9 محمد.
Which is the Middle East. Dude, I can't say it's not been entertaining because it's
Funny as fuck, man.
I think I'm like 65% certain we're gonna get arrested, but it's a good time though. It's a good time though.
It's a good
time.
memories.
So thank you so much for coming, man, and
Thank you,
Akeed will
guys.
probably be having you again soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you guys.
Habibi.
Thanks.